I posed the question this morning to the boys. I said, which playoff is most exciting and best to watch? We polled the people of the Twitter. And I'll tell you what, this is a hot topic. So far, we have 46,000 votes. Okay? 46,000 votes in under 3 hours. 11% say the NBA. That's quite a big sample size, by the way. Mm-hmm. Of the 4 major sports, it's NFL, NHL, MLB, NBA. 11% said the NBA. The NBA, I think everybody thinks is rigged. I think everybody thinks the playoffs are rigged. It's a 7-game series. If there's big name players in the game, it's going to get to 7 or they're going to sweep quickly. I think everybody kind of expects what's going to happen and predicts what's going to happen in the NBA. Not sure if that's accurate or not. Foxy, you're a big-time NBA guy. Is that the general consensus in your eyes?
Yeah, everyone just knows, like, the Warriors going in, they're going to win it. But I'm going to defend the NBA by saying, first off, they didn't win it this year. Second off...
Made it to the finals, though.
Yeah. You get it, though. And second off, you could say that about the NFL. The Pats win it every single year.
Nah, can't say it because they actually suspended Tom Brady. I think there's a little bit of legitimacy. People know that if LeBron James gets into the playoffs, people are going to assume that he's going to be favored more than everybody else. And probably for good reason. The guy's done a lot for the sports. But some of those Cavalier teams that he took to the finals or whatever were terrible at basketball.
Bad teams
that they made it through. And especially being a Pacer fan back in the day, I mean, I guess I'm currently kind of one, but I don't know anybody on the team. I don't know the coach. Back in the day, I was friends with like Vogel. I was friends with a lot of the players.
Right.
Now I don't know anybody. They haven't really reached out. So to hell with them. My NBA allegiance is up. But I do like whenever they win because the city's happier. But back whenever I was watching with the Heat and the Pacers, we all knew that game that was going to go to 7. Everybody knew, even watching in the arena. I bought 5,000 tickets one time for the Indiana Pacers and gave them out for free for a playoff game against the Heat so we could pack the house. I don't think I've gotten many thank yous since for that whole thing. But I think that's why people judge the NBA's because the general consensus is, and this might be Tim Donaghy's fault, to be honest with you. This might be the ref that got caught fixing games' fault, that people just automatically assume in the NBA, the refs can control it, the league can control it, and it's going to be favored to the big stars. Whether it's true or not. I'm not saying it is true. I'm just saying this is what people think. That's why I think it got 11% of the votes out of 46,632 votes.
I'm pretty shocked by that, actually. But also, if you're talking about just watching it, like in terms of like how the TV coverage, I think that's the best out of any sport too. I think the TNT crew, you got Charles Barkley, you got Shaq, you got all those guys. No one ever complains about how they do it on the TV. Also, NBA Twitter, best Twitter out there.
I can agree with that. NBA Twitter is fantastic. I can agree that Charles, Shaq, Kenny, and Ernie are an incredible foursome there on the television. I think it's great television, but that has nothing to do with the actual games.
You're watching it. Yes, it does. Your question was which sports playoff is the best to watch. That's all a part of the watching experience.
Oh. So you're taking the pre-shows into account?
Absolutely.
I mean, you have to watch it. He's only got 11%.
You have to watch it on TV.
You have to watch it on TV. Twitter's a part of the watching experience.
I think this year will be different, though, because there's a lot of good teams than in past where it's just Cleveland and Golden State guaranteed.
I think so, too. I mean, maybe. I like watching the NBA playoffs. I would like it to be known because I think the NBA players, they're all 6'10". They can do incredible things. I like watching great athletes do great athletic things, but I can argue that since it's a 7-game series, not as, exciting as a potential any given day a team can get a win.
True.
Which is why I was surprised by this, especially with what have you done for me lately syndrome that happens on the internet. The MLB came in 3rd place out of the 4 with 17% of the votes. In Ty, I told you that I thought baseball playoff were a joke. Mm-hmm. And last night, 90% of the population fell asleep before that baseball game could get good. I think that is the problem with baseball. It's too slow, too long. But you're saying, no, that's what makes it good.
Well, I mean, no. To your point there, that's why it's never going to be number one. Why it's never going to top the NFL. But if you like baseball, especially since they changed and they started doing these 1-game wild cards, like those are packed with drama. You don't get that in the series, obviously, but like literally last night, like every pitch mattered. So if you actually like baseball, I mean, it magnifies everything. Everything is a lot more important. You don't have one of the issues where like if you're just watching a random baseball game on a Wednesday, there's a chance that like 3 or 4 scrubs are playing. Like these are these guys' best lineups, their best pitchers out there. Like it's the matchup that everyone wants to see. And I mean, over the last couple years, like we've had games like this where everything comes down to the last inning, one of the last at bats. Like it just the drama is a lot better than your average baseball. And granted, it's still, I mean, like I said, it's never going to surpass the NFL or anything like that. But if you're comparing it to regular season baseball, postseason baseball is almost like it feels like a different sport almost.
Give me that.
Let him take steroids.
I agree. I agree 1,000%.
I watched Screwball. Mm-hmm. I watched Screwball there by Billy Corbin, the guy that made Cocaine Cowboys. Interesting that A-Rod that was a hit piece on A-Rod.
Yeah, for sure.
That was an absolute hit piece on A-Rod. Tony Bosch, the guy that ran Biogenesis, basically just an incredible hustler. Went to Belize to get a medical degree, and now he went to jail for like 4 years or whatever it was. And he was just naming people. He was I remember this kid. He's a Manny Ramirez, maybe sleeping in the same room as him and telling bedtime stories. I'm like, hey, Tony, a little bit aggressive here, a little bit of a burial of people. But he went after A-Rod in that thing. And to be honest, I think baseball should have thanked him. Like George Bush, who was the owner of the Rangers, who said steroids in baseball is a bad thing. I think George Bush should have been thanking him too. Like, hey, thanks for making our sport interesting to more people than just the baseball enthusiasts, because these big mongoloids are stepping into the batter's box and hitting balls out of parks. So it's hard. I mean, I guess everything's got to be fair, but
highest ratings baseball has ever had was when McGuire and Sosa were in the home run race, and those guys were openly like McGuire had a bottle of Andro sitting in his locker, like when he'd get interviewed after the games, like he was just popping horse pills, and they didn't care, but it was awesome because
good old days.
Yeah, those guys were hitting 700-foot homers, and everyone wanted to watch it.
I mean, I think I even enjoyed it.
Yeah,
and I never played baseball. I never played baseball a day in my life growing up. The only time I ever played baseball was professionally. You can get that documentary now, by the way.
You wouldn't have made that error last night in right field, I'll tell you that much.
Damn right I wouldn't have.
First error of the entire season. That's tough for that guy.
Yeah.
But that is why playoff baseball is electrifying.
Exactly.
Because every ball counts. Speaking of sport without a ball, in second place, the NHL got 29% of the votes, which has to feel good for Nick, our standard hockey correspondent. I would argue that NHL playoffs are electrifying. I love the NHL playoffs. I'm a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. I would have thought they would have done better against the NFL, who's in first place with 43%. But NHL playoffs deserve a lot of credit, and I'm happy that they're above these other two in this particular poll.
Yeah, and I think the only reason they don't beat out the NFL is because the one game in the NFL means so much compared to a 7-game series. But I would argue the 7-game series gives you a better chance to prove who the better team is, and there's no fluky wins there. If you win straight up 7 games, 4 games out of 7, you are the best team on the ice. There's no debate about it.
The reason why it didn't win is because 45% of the country has no idea that the NHL even exists.
That could be part of it.
The NHL stinks at marketing hockey. The NHL owners are stupid. The game is incredible. The players never talk, really. I mean, Spittin' Chicklets is literally the best thing that could ever happen to hockey because it showcases that people that play hockey have good personalities. But the NHL, I can argue, are the worst at marketing their sport in the history of marketing sports.
Easily.
People that have no idea that hockey, even Indiana, right here, there are 0 votes for the NHL in this thing, for this entire state. They don't even know hockey happens. The only thing they know is like, oh, is that little junior thing where we go and watch little kids fight each other on the ice and then we leave and then there's like a little horn. That's all they really know. But anybody who knows hockey is like, hockey, playoff hockey is awesome. That's why I'm happy I grew up in Pittsburgh. I got to experience it. And on the flip side, since I grew up in Pittsburgh, it's why I probably hate baseball.
Yeah, also easily.
basketball.
I mean, it's the best trophy in sports. They got the best traditions in sports, the handshake line. I mean, where else can you beat the hell out of each other and then be gentlemen about it afterwards? We just went to war
Every
for 7
single football
games.
game.
You
UFC,
honestly like the
Bellator.
handshake line?
Yeah, you
Nick?
got to respect the handshake line. These guys go out there and they're playing through these injuries, they break each other's bones. Patrice Bergeron in 2013, listen to this, broken rib, torn cartilage, muscle tissue, separated shoulder, and a punctured lung.
Welcome
Played
to
through
week
all
3
that.
of the NFL.
Please, ain't nobody playing through a punctured lung in the NFL.
And that's hockey talk. Hockey starts tonight.
Yes.
See, nobody even knew. That's the problem with the NHL. Nobody even knew that the NHL starts tonight because we're in the middle of WNBA season and NFL season and MLB season. WNBA is getting more marketing right now that it's starting than hockey. You literally have to turn on the NHL network to find out that NHL is happening, and that's because the owners are a bunch of
stooges and sellouts.
Great sport, terrible league.
and number. It's a great way to
Everyone
describe
knows
it.
it.
That's a great way to describe it. And number 1, best playoff to watch by far, and it's probably because a lot of my followers are NFL fans because they're red-blooded Americans. 46,000 votes with 43% of the vote. NFL wins.
Yeah, I mean, and this was obvious. And you don't have to be a red-blooded American to love the NFL. The NFL, people have been playing football. The Romans, the Greeks, the Sumerians, the Mayans, the gods were playing football. It's all of the best of all the other sports rolled into one sport. If you took like 50% of the NFL athletes, they would go to these other sports and just dominate them.
Yep.
You only have one game. All the pressure, everything is on the line for one game.
All those off-season workouts.
All of them.
Training camp, whenever you're sleeping in a dormitory that's got a public bathroom where you can accidentally run into a 350-pounder taking a leak.
Snow.
Am I allowed to say what I just said?
I don't think so.
Snow. Wind. Ice.
Race the board.
Fog.
I think the NFL playoffs are
If those don't do it for you, let me tell you some numbers, okay?
okay.
These are the champions. This is the conference championships for each of these sports.
Okay.
NHL average 2 million viewers.
Okay, that's not bad, by the way. Good for hockey.
MLB 6 million.
Wow.
NBA 9 million.
Whoa.
NFL 1.3 billion viewers.
Well, that's what we call a landslide, Bob.
I might have skewed that a little bit, but it's close.
I think the NFL playoffs are right. I think the any given Sunday mindset that your team is either going to go on and make history or completely disappear because it's so hard to make it into the dance. All you're asking to do if you're an NFL team is make it into the playoffs, and all you have is one chance to prove yourself. Your quarterback gets mono. Doesn't matter. The game will be played. Your wide receiver hurt his hand. Your corner stabbed himself in the leg the night before or got stabbed by a girlfriend. He picks up a fumble and he can't take it the other way. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have 6 other opportunities to potentially win. That's why the NFL will always be king here in America. Although I think the NHL, if they marketed themselves just a tiny bit, I think they would grow their percentage. But I like to see that the NBA and the MLB are at the bottom of the pack because that rings true to my thought that how I feel is how everybody else feels. I'm the most basic human on earth. The way I feel about things is normally how other people feel about things. And this is exactly how I feel. This is exactly how I would put it. I might have put the NBA above the MLB, but after watching last night in the electrifying 8th inning that was 4 hours into the game, I thought that was an incredible thing. I thought, what have you done for me lately could potentially be the thing. But the NBA comes in last place. That's tough, especially for a league that prides itself on dominating on social media and marketing, Fox.
You need a red zone for baseball.
Hey,
that's for sure.
I think people are forgetting when Paul Pierce pooped his pants,
go.
got carted off in a wheelchair, came back, led the Celtics to a victory.
He
you don't
pooped
get
his
that,
pants?
That's what they say. And you don't get that drama in any other
3
sport.
poop sticks.
I didn't know Paul Pierce pooped his pants. That's why he was taken off there.
That was his out. He came out this year and said that.
That's why I needed the wheelchair.
Yep. You're not getting that in any other sports.
Guys poop their pants all the time in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Not on purpose, though. It's the CTE. Speaking of pooping their pants, Kellen Moore might be doing that this morning after what Jerry Jones said last night.